welcome to the Play to Your Best Summit here that we are bringing experts and incredible conversations on mindset, nutrition, training, recovery to all of those that love to move, that want to move more, that want to move better. And we have the incredible privilege of bringing Sue Reynolds to you today. So welcome, Sue.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I love the whole focus of your topics, and this is going to be a fun talk. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, we are going to have some fun here. So what I want to do is I'm going to give a really brief introduction because your story is your bio and or is one part of your bio. And so we really want to, create space for that. So what I will say about you, though, is that you are the author of this incredible book called The Athlete Inside. And it's the transforming power of hope, tenacity, and faith. And what's also incredible about this is that all the proceeds that you have from this book are going to the USA Triathlon Foundation to help those with disabilities engage in sports. So after you've listened to this interview, I really hope that you'll click on the link and purchase the book. And I not only just get more of Sue's incredible story that we're going to look into really briefly today, but also that you're going to be supporting so many others. In addition to that, what Sue does, this is just like her athletic life is just, one piece of her. And the other side, outside of, her athletic and triathlon life is that she also founded American Student Achievement Institute. And that is a not-for-profit organization helping community leadership teams with the process of improvement for the purpose of helping young people, especially disadvantaged young people, succeed in life. And what they say. They say that those that are continuously giving and in community and putting out there and doing things in service of others, like have this incredible joy and health and happiness. And it's just like
gratitude.
Yeah, and gratitude. And you are just like, open the dictionary. You're doing it, you're living it, and it obviously feeds your soul, and we get to have some of that energy come in today. So I am so excited. I'm actually going to stop there from your bio, and because this is what we want to hear about is why do we have you here today? And it's inspirational. And it's incredibly transformational. And there's so much that we can learn. And what's exciting is that Sue will bring us into where she's at today and what she's tackling today, and how that process of learning and, coming right into fears and, pushing through challenges, it hasn't stopped for you. And so let's get started. Okay. So did I miss anything here?
No, that was a great introduction that I can just feed off of. You mentioned that I founded a nonprofit and did work that I absolutely loved in helping adults help kids, really. And in that work, I pulled a lot of all-nighters, like 4 or 5 a week. I mean, I just worked around the clock because it wasn't work I had to do. It was work I wanted to do because we were helping kids. It was good work. But one of the things that I did, one of the tools that I used to stay awake to work was to eat. And it was not uncommon that I would eat 3 dozen cookies and, gravy bags of M&Ms in an evening, trying to stay awake to get all the work done. And little by little, as the nonprofit grew, so did my waistline. And my weight went up to 335 pounds. And that's something I'm comfortable talking about. So I know a lot of times when I do podcasts and interviews, the person I'm talking to is a little, hesitant about, it's not like culturally okay to talk to a woman about her body, but I'm okay with that. So anything you want to ask or talk about is fine with me. So my weight went up, and I tried like one diet after another and failed different diets, and year after year after year. And then my why changed. And when my why changed, I found that I was able to stay on plan with a nutrition plan. And I started exercising to help with my weight loss and discovered at age 60 that I was shocked to find that I like sports. I didn't even watch sports on TV. I had no clue I like sports, never played sports in school.
Yeah.
Um, and, and then started pretending that when I was walking at 300 pounds, I would pretend in my head, oh, I'm training for a triathlon because it just gave purpose to the exercise. I really didn't like exercising, but it was fun to think about training for a triathlon. I never thought I would do one. And little by little, I started, walking to begin with, and then I did water aerobics, and that kind of transformed into dog paddle and breaststroke, and started doing a stationary bike and then a real bike. And yeah, one thing led to another. I fell in love with triathlon, and then I could finally do all the distances. And I thought, what the heck? If I can do the distances, why not try one? And I think a lot of us start triathlon that way. And yeah, and then discovered that I kind of had a knack for it. And in the 3-year period, I went from finishing dead last in my local triathlons to finishing 6th in the world at the World Triathlon Championship, and like was way out of my league, and I had not a clue what I was doing, but I went to Worlds and did really well. So, and I've loved every minute of it. It's been just a joy.
Okay, so that was the fast forward of soup. Like story. All right, that was brilliant. So now you know where we're gonna go, everybody. But I need to back up. We need to
Yes.
go way back. Okay, so let's start actually as a young girl.
Okay.
I want to hear about what it was like growing up. You didn't even know you like sports, but did you always know you didn't like sports, or how was that? So tell
No,
us a little bit about that.
so another thing we often don't talk to women about is their age.
Right.
So I'm almost 69, and I'll race next year in the 70 to 74 age group. I age up, yay. So but yeah, but so when I was a girl, there were no sports for girls. I can remember being in middle school and they took the boys to the gym to play basketball, but basketball was considered too strenuous for girls. It
Yeah.
would hurt us. And so they took the girls to the home ec room to square dance. And so we never had, and I remember playing, baseball with the boys in the neighborhood, but when it came to organized sports, the boys could get into Little League Baseball, but the girls couldn't.
Mm.
And I begged to be the bat girl. I just really wanted to be around sports, and there just weren't opportunities. So I never knew that I never had an opportunity to even really know if I would like organized sports or whatever. And I think there's probably a lot of my women my age who have athletes hiding inside of them, who just don't know it because they've never had the opportunity to have that experience and to find out. So yeah, so it was different back then. And I think about all the pioneers, and then, before Title IX and then with Title IX. And I can remember my PE teachers getting so excited because we had the first girls basketball competition between two different schools, and I got invited to play on that team. It was just a one-time thing. We played in our street clothes. Our mothers drove us to the game. I mean, it was just. But I remember my PE teachers being so excited, and then looking at all the people now who are still advocates for women's sports, and and how far we still have to go. But when I look back over the years, I know that people that have a passion, that are willing to be pioneers, can make a difference. And I look at what I'm able to do today, that when I was a girl, it would just be unheard of. So yeah, so no, I didn't know that I like sports. I never had an opportunity to figure it out.
No. What was it like? So this you mentioned, and I'm going to be going like a little bit backwards and forwards in this interview, because you said something I want to just come into, and this idea of athlete, and we didn't know, like, you weren't given permission to be athletes. And then later on, as I could just see you there, you were walking, you were an obese body, and you were like, well, I'm training for my triathlon. we talk about identity, and in other interviews, I've even talked about labels and how, in this case, what was it like? And when were you going to permit yourself to take on the label of I am an athlete? Or how does that feel even now for you?
Yeah, that was really, really hard. I remember going to purchase my first bike and being so embarrassed because I knew I was way overweight, and I knew they were probably just rolling their eyes, and just yeah. So I had a really hard time thinking about myself as an athlete. I think when it happened for me was on the morning that I got on the scale and was no longer overweight. And all my life that was my label. All my life, my label had been, I'm the obese person. And all of a sudden, I'm not overweight anymore. I didn't know who I was. I just was at a loss. It was like, I tell people, it's like if you wake up one morning and you look in the mirror and all of a sudden you have six arms and you're the different, you're polka dot, I just didn't know who I was when I looked in the mirror. And my coach was the one who said, okay, here's your new identity. You're an athlete. And I fought it. I would not call myself an athlete. It just seemed preposterous to me to think of myself as an athlete after being obese for decades. And I would call myself a pseudo athlete or an athlete wannabe. I could get those words out, but I could not call myself an athlete. And I actually had to do self-talk. I put a sign on the mirror in the bathroom that said, I am an athlete. And then every morning I would repeat it. I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete, just to get it to feel comfortable to me.
Yeah.
So, and now, and my coach said, Sue, you have a coach, you train every day, you compete, you are an athlete. I had to look it up in the dictionary too, and to make sure that I was defining it correctly. But yeah, I'm an athlete. So now I can say it easily.
Now you are. So, and what did that mean to you when you embraced it as your own?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it meant to me, it wasn't so much that, I finish a race and get a medal or that I'm on the podium or any of that. It was more the lifestyle of it. It was more the process that, I want to be one day better every day. And I want to figure out, what does that take in terms of my training, in terms of nutrition, in terms of recovery. How do I get that one day better every day? So it's more to me, being an athlete is more of a lifestyle. And it's more about process than it is about outcome.
Oh, so amazing. So now you had commented on saying, I had to even look at the dictionary. And so to verify that what I was actually doing was actually aligned with me taking on this label. But yet, if we look at the dictionary, it is about competing. Like I can't, I don't have the definition right in front of me, but it would still lead us into a direction in which is not aligned necessarily. And I think this is the battle. And the reason why I'm sticking on this is because you hit on it so perfectly. It's about the process.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
about a commitment. It is about a lifestyle that has this push and the pull and this rise up and the failure, because that's what it means to be athlete. It means to be okay to fail.
Yeah.
And it means to be okay to also be joyful. And it is the variety. It's so powerful.
Or really, I think the whole concept of failure is really interesting too, that to me, there really is no such thing as failure if you're learning every day from what you do. And, I can't, in the beginning, when I first started competing in races, I was dead last every time. But I learned that if I could cross the finish line and know that I did everything in my power to prepare for that moment, and that I did everything in my power to execute well in that race. It didn't matter where I finished, if I finished last or first or whatever. It was just that feeling of satisfaction when you know that you did, everything that you could to accomplish a goal. And then you get across the finish line. And I mean, before I even find the results, I know that I feel good about the race. So yeah. So there is no failure. There's just opportunities for learning.
Yeah. Well, and that's the growth mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, of, how we viewpoint. And that is, they talk about excellence and mastery, and it is a mastery of this process that you're in that actually will never end, which is the richness of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And as how you were this young girl and this process coming into this whole new way of being. And, here you went through all these life stages, including perimenopause, including I would say then, yes, 10 years after, your menopause, year. So it's 10, you can have symptoms up to 10 years afterwards. So you're even past that. And you're in this whole other place of life of possibility and like getting to know yourself. It's so incredible. All right, I have another question, still going way back because you jumped through so much. You said that I changed my why.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want, if it's possible, for you to talk a little bit more about that process and how it shifted. So here I am, I'm remembering in the story that you were telling, you were just eating your way through this incredibly intensive and stressful and passion of work. And something started to shift for you. Can you bring us back to that time?
Yeah. I mean, there was never a time when I didn't want to weigh less than I did. Or to be a smaller size than I was. I mean, I always wanted to be thin. But it was my why for many, many decades for being thin was because society told me I was supposed to be thin. And, watching media, reading, whatever, it was, women are supposed to be thin, successful women are thin, responsible women are thin. And so I wanted to be thin because of what society told me. I also wanted to be thin because of what my family said to me. My family loved me very much, and they were very concerned about my health. And they talked to me often about not eating 6 pieces of cake, and I didn't need that third piece of pizza or whatever. So that was enough of a motivation to get me started on a diet. But when I was tired and there were, molasses cookies in front of me,
deadlines and whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't enough of a why to keep me going. And then one day I just got to the point where I was really, really tired of not being able to put my shoes on. My belly was so big I couldn't reach around my belly to get to my feet. So every morning I had to ask my husband to put my shoes on for me. And I don't know what it was. I mean, just one morning, I remember I was sitting at the breakfast table and I just said enough and decided to start making different choices. And I think what happened at that moment was that my why changed from being external, pleasing others, to being internal, it was something that I wanted. I wanted to put my shoes on. And that was my first goal. I mean, I never, I didn't want to be an athlete. I wasn't even really concerned at that point about, being healthy or anything. I just wanted to put my shoes on. So yeah, so that was it. And then, my why after that has always been self-driven. It was to put my shoes on, and then I knew it would be a whole lot easier to walk if I lost more weight. And then once I started triathlon, I knew it would be a whole lot easier to run if I
Yeah.
for the 5 pounds I lost. So yeah. So and then, then it was okay, let's get down the race weight. And so yeah, so that was the change. It was going from an external why, pleasing others, to an internal why, being able to do what I wanted to do. And my weight was getting in the way.
Mhm. Would you say, and I'm really fascinated, and if there's something that I'm really starting to delve more into, it's this, um, it's almost like stages of life. So we have we go, at least in my privileged world, in my viewpoint. So maybe this is not others, but anyways, in my viewpoint or my own personal experience, it's we kind of I went through a very selfish time, teenager, selfish, then going into my 20s. I maintained that for a while as I became a professional athlete. Then I moved from there, and then I started, we start to look out, and it's like, okay, career, family, we are in service of others. And then it's like, holy smokes, I am like drilling myself underneath I'm going way too hard. I am not taking care of my body. I'm not taking care of my health, and it's in service of others. So then we come back in and we start going. And what I'm curious about is, so you had that internal, and then, but it appears now that that drive is so within you, and we're going to get into that next, but this drive is within you, but it's, you're doing this interview, you're in again into incredible service of others because of that internal drive. So it's like, it's now looking back out and saying, now I'm in a relationship with the world that looks different than it was before.
Mhm.
But before, it was in service of others too. It didn't matter what your shape of your body doesn't matter. But
Right.
the joy or something has released in you to be able to take on a different identity in this process. Is there anything there that is true, or do you have any comments, I guess?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, as I look at well, I guess there's two things. One is that as I look at my career, I think in my work, I think what you described fit me to a T also. You get involved with your family, you get involved in your career, you want to see what good you can do with your career, where your career can take you, and you drive in that. And I think, once you get to, at least for me, once I got to a certain point of success in my career, then it was like, where are the new horizons? What's the next challenge? Um, and and I think there's a point, and maybe I haven't even found this yet, but I think there's a point or maybe I'm just starting to find this now, where there has to be balance as well. I've always gone 100% into whatever I've done. And right now I'm realizing that if you go 100% into triathlon year after year after year after year, it's possible to get burned out and it's no fun anymore. So I've had to figure out recently, like, how to put balance into my life and spend quality time with my family, and time recovering. And so yeah, I think that, I think life does kind of, go in waves, and like you were describing, absolutely. So
Mhm.
yeah. And then in terms of wanting to be helpful to other people, that's something, I don't know where that came from, but I've had that all my life. I mean, I just, I don't know. I just do.
You can tell it's at the core of your being, because it's been woven through. I mean, your whole story is woven through foundation, support, disadvantaged, keeping and lifting others up. It's there in your whole bio. I think what's interesting, and I think that I offer, think of, like, I'm just, my coaching hat is coming on, and just like, what's interesting to me is how you define athlete as a lifestyle, as a process. And here you are grappling with this idea of balance. And we talk in my program, we talk a lot about this idea of, where's our stress? Where are our stressors? And training is a stress. It's a really wonderful stress. And as we come into, and as you experience going to world championships, coming, sixth in the world, you chose in your life to be at a higher level of stress. and to
Mhm.
take that on. And now it's, where are we in that sphere? Because
Yeah.
as you define athletes, it's lifestyle for you, it's process for you, it's how do I get to be in this space? And maybe my stress level has to shift so I
Mhm.
can have more space for others. And this is the up and down. But what I love about what you're saying is, remind us of your age.
I'm going to be 69 in a couple months.
69. And what I love about, and why I'm asking you that, and like to point that out, is that age is not it's not a limiter for you. You don't think, oh, now I'm 69, I can't put the priority on, age group world championship. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put that limitation on myself. Why would I? I
Yeah.
might choose to put more stress on another component of my life. And I do mean stress. I do mean a priority, where it might be at one point you say, I'm going to really take on this foundation thing again, or I, want to drive hard in my story and be the public speaker I already am, but on a whole new level. Like, there might be something there for you. And then we shift again and you
Mhm.
become triathlete in lifestyle, not
Yeah.
in focus to be at a world championship and come sixth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Well,
knows?
one of the things with my age that like everybody that around me, I've forbidden them to refer to me as an old lady. That, yeah, I tell them, I'm a 29-year-old in my head and in my heart. And that's how, if you're going to be around me, you have to, view me that way. So, because I think that, the more I think about myself as being almost 69, then I'll start acting like an old person.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to do that. So and what's one of the things I love about triathlon is I get to hang around young people all the time in training. And but yeah, I think of myself as 29. I'm going to forever be 29. And one of the when I first after my first nationals, I came in middle of the pack and I had not been training seriously. And I came home and I said to my coach, I said, I know I'm like overweight and I know I'm never going to be Gwen Jorgensen, but there's no reason why I can't train like Gwen Jorgensen does. So, are you willing to train me like I'm an elite athlete, even though I will never be one? And although I do think there's such a thing as an elite amateur or an elite age grouper. So,
Yeah.
but and then more recently, I started working with some top-notch coaches and said the same thing. What does Gwen do? If Gwen works out twice a day, then I'm working out twice a day. If Gwen takes a nap between the two workouts, then I'm taking a nap between the two workouts. And that's one of the things about being older and being retired. I think there's like two times in your life when you can really commit 24/7 to triathlon. One is when you're young, before you have responsibilities, family and everything.
Mm.
And then it gets difficult. And then when you're retired and you don't have a job anymore, then you can commit again if that's a great time. So, I have the luxury of having the time now that I can commit, and I'm playing pretend that I'm an Olympian. So
Well, let's go there. Let's go there. So, training like an elite athlete. I'm so interested in what you're going to say here. So, tell me, what does that look like to you? What does that mean?
well, I think one of the things I tell myself often is no excuses, whatever it takes, find a way. And it's really just being disciplined, is taking care of all the other things so you have the energy to train. It's finding solutions to challenges and not finding dead ends. So in terms of like what my day, well, here's what today looked like. I was up at 4:30. I was at the pool at 6, came home, had my second breakfast, went to bed, took a nap, got up, went out, did a 3-hour bike ride, came back, rested a little bit, had my post workout meal, and then doing this interview. And so there's that part of it, but I think it's more mindset. It's more like, doing that nap in between the two workouts is hard to get. Well, figure it out.
Mm.
You have to be rested. So how are you going to make that happen? it's just, and it's looking at, I don't know, it's looking at all the little details. Um, I look at so many details my coaches do in terms of my training and the specificity of the training. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, you've kind of been there. How do you describe it?
Yeah, no, I love it how you are describing it. It is, and you use the perfect word, it's specificity.
Yeah.
It is in the details. And it is when I have athletes that are wanting to get to that pointy end, is what I call it, because it's not for everybody. We don't all have to have it. I mean, there's a real
Right.
progression. We all have to have health, and health is at the foundation of our performance. So in the way that I work, it's, do we taken care of our foundation? And then we move up my triangles and we start to say, okay, so we've got health, we have adequate nutrition, and then I'm just using the nutrition triangle or the pillar.
Mhm.
So then we go, okay, micronutrients, do we have the variety, the color, the amino acids that we need to continuously maintain and build? And then, okay, we've got that, that's excellent. Okay, now we're actually looking at, so we've got the whole nourishment, and then we go up another level. We go into, at the very top is actually sports supplements. We want to think as athletes, we think that, like at the bottom, we're like, what do we need? Okay, is it goos, or is it like, what is it that I need to add? Do I need to add creatine? Do I need to add collagen? Do I need to add this, and this? And I'm just like, are you eating enough? I don't know. Like, can we move back down? Is your gut actually absorbing the nutrients? Because I don't care how much you how much creatine you're going to have, because you're, not doing your body any good if you don't have these other basic foundational
Right.
principles down. So when I think of elite athlete, when I think of, and I have elite athletes within my roster as well, it's because they care about the specificity and are continuously taking care of that foundation and willing to adapt and know, okay, well, the environment is changing. I need to adapt my foundation again. It's hotter. I need to adapt my foundation. It's higher. I need to adapt. It's like all these little details do matter when you're trying to eke out. No matter whether you are 69, whether you are 18, you're trying to eke out the maximum amount which you are able to, given your ability to adapt to the exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think where I would say, and I would want the listeners to hear, is that being an elite athlete, as you mentioned, is the specificity, but it certainly doesn't look like, or I would imagine your coaches are not trying to actually push you to do what Gwen Jorgensen does.
Oh, in terms of load and
yeah, it's not appropriate.
No. Yeah, no.
So it's not about those pieces. It's about, how do I be the best I can be?
Right.
And
right. And that's one of the things we've had to experiment with. As a 68-year-old, can I handle 2 workouts a day? And in the beginning, I was not as disciplined with my naps in between and getting to bed at night. And I could not. I mean, I like died. And then I thought, whatever it takes. I thought, okay, you need to make different choices here, Sue, if you want to be able to handle these 2 workouts a day. So, yeah. So, and it's always, I think that's another difference that I have found, is that it's always pushing me as far as I can go, being right on the edge of being injured, but not being injured, just really pushing the envelope. And, there's been a couple times where we pushed too far and then we learned. So, but yeah.
So I'm curious now. So what would you say your why is now?
That's a good question. My why now is driven more by curiosity. I'm just really curious, if I train like an Olympian trains, one, do I have the capacity as a human being to do that, the discipline to do that? And I think I do. But the other is just, how far can I go? It's like I love problem solving. And it's like, this is one big mystery, where's the next little place where I could find 1 second to be faster. How will this work? Oh, that didn't work. Well, let's try this now. I mean, it's just a big experiment. That's what it is. I'm insanely curious, and I love experimenting, and every day it's an experiment to see what will happen. So yeah, so it's nothing like my why when I started.
No, super, super fascinating. Is there something else in your story that we haven't touched on? We've touched on a lot of things, and I honestly feel like I could talk to you all day, because I still have more questions. But in the interest of making sure that we touch on the important things that you want to share about your story and the different elements that you could bring into it, what else would you want to bring forward to have the listeners hear about?
The only thing is something that you mentioned, and that is that competing at a top level or a competitive level, that's not for everyone. And you mentioned that.
Mhm.
I think everyone just does what speaks to them. And that's one of the things I love about triathlon, because you can just, come into triathlon to just be a one and done, just to see if you can do one. Or you can come in to just have it be, oh, this is a fun way to get out on my Saturdays and Sundays to go take a leisurely swim and then go for a little bike ride and then go for a walk, or a jog. So, or you can compete against, to be better than you were the weekend before or the month before, or you can compete against others. And it really doesn't matter, where you land on that is as long as it's enjoyable for you. So yeah. And then the only other thing is, we were talking about the joy of triathlon. Really, for me, the most joyous place is crossing the start line. I always celebrate when I cross the start line, because I think it takes guts and courage to get to the start. And so, yeah, I always tell first timers, celebrate when you go across the start line, because that's the part that takes the guts and the courage. That's the most important part. And then if you have the endurance and the stamina and you can get to the finish line, that's a second, that's the icing on.
Yeah.
But it's the start line that's the most important, I think.
I tell my athletes it's the after party. The actual race is the after party. Because honestly, you're right. It is the race itself is the after party with all your closest friends. That are just in the experience of it. And it is the whole process in which you're saying is, to be on that start line. And I think that way, one of the things I talk about in different ways in this series and in others is like, what is your start line? It doesn't actually have to be a start line and physical with the gun going off or the whatever is going off. It's your start line can look to so many things, and it can be the bottom of the mountain, which you look up and say, I'm going to get to the top of that thing.
I love that.
And you're taking it on.
Yeah, that's why I wrote the book. No matter what the journey is, I just hope that my story would help others have courage and hope that whatever their journey is, to have a new career, to, whatever, that it, you can reach dreams. Success is just a series of good choices over time. So yeah, good.
Yeah. And that you can continue to take on new identities as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have continued to take on new ways of being. And while there's the thread of service within you, there's different ways to be that in the world and to show that and to have a different face of it. And it actually never, I love it that you said it was never actually about the weight. You are always there. And you even say this, that you conquered fear and pride to find the best version of yourself that had been there all along.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it this outer shell that we have, it doesn't matter. It's what's the inner is actually speaking through, and what you get to do and how you want to do it.
In the Kindle version of the book, I can go in and see like who's highlighted different comments in the book. And the two comments that get the most highlights are "go away fear" and "go away pride." And I just think it's so interesting that people realize that we all, me too, we all need to hear that and realize how much we let pride get in our way of, doing what we want to do, or we get fear gets in our way. Yeah. So, and that was, and now, I rode my bike up a really steep hill a couple of days ago with my coach, and I sat at the bottom of the hill and said, okay, if I die, I die. Go away, fear. And
It is those mantras that can get us through so much, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, go away,
Absolutely.
fear. All right. Well, what I want to just remind people of is that you have this book. It is a phenomenal book, and that it is The Athlete Inside, The Transforming Power of Hope, Tenacity, and Faith. And so definitely get your copy, and that is also you being in service of others because of the proceeds going to the foundation. I have 3 rapid fire questions. I know we've touched a lot of ground today, but these are my questions. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay, ready? Okay. What are you, I mean, this is interesting, but what are you learning right now or super excited about right at this time? You kind of mentioned some things.
The first thing that popped in my head is that I'm training now in Florida. I live 4 months of the year. We're just moving down here in Indiana, and I'm in Indiana. I never have to ride with cars, and here I have to conquer my fear of riding around cars. So what I'm learning right now, as we speak, is to overcome my fear of riding on roads with cars.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Yeah. Oh, it is something, and to own it's this balance of owning the road, like, and claiming your space on the road and not being in the way. It's like, how do you do that?
That was kind of a practical question. Mentally, what I'm learning is how to depend on myself and trust my judgment, and to really that I'm capable of making good decisions within triathlon on my own. So yeah, that's been a big one for me recently.
That's actually that demonstrates maturity of an athlete.
I'm growing up. Good.
You are growing up, says the coach. And I know Sarah would be very happy when Sarah McClarty is your coach, and happy to, and I mean, it's such joy when it is a relationship and what you bring to it.
Yeah.
Then the dialogue, and then you really know you're gonna eke out the most, because you're like, oh, I'm not just doing as I say, I'm actually coming in and understanding my body.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible growth.
The relationship just fascinates me. One of the things that Sarah's so good at is giving me space to make decisions and make choices, and giving me the support so that if I make a wrong decision, it's okay. So she's really given me the space to grow in that area, and I greatly appreciate that.
Amen, Sarah McClarty. Well done. All right. What is one thing you're grateful for right now?
That always has to be family. I'd have a family that is just hugely supportive. Especially my husband is he's a saint, and if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. He's accepting of having a 68-year-old wife who wants to be out training all day, every day. So.
So there is somebody that said marry well, and it wasn't about marry rich or marry anything. It was marry well, and whoever that might be for you in your partnership. But yes, thinking about somebody who's really going to grow with you.
Yeah.
What is one principle that you live by?
The first word that popped into my head was kindness. I think that kindness is the action part of love, and I just think that it's just important to me to really, as much as I can, to show kindness to others and to accept kindness from others. So both ways.
Oh. Well, I, for one, have incredibly enjoyed, I just have enjoyed this interview. I hope everybody else has. I hope everybody just seeks you out and finds out more, and has you as a public speaker, motivational speaker in their work life, in their clubs, and gets you out there into the world and sharing your incredible story. So thank you very much. Is there I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'm good. And just a thank you to you for this chat. It's a lot of fun, and I feel your spirit too. So I've gotten a lot out of this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.